Assalamualaikum warahmatullahi wabarakatuh. My name is Kautsar Muharya Muarsi, and today I will talk about one book. The title is Big Magic from Elizabeth Gilbert, or the author is Elizabeth Gilbert. This book is non-fiction book, tell about story of Elizabeth Gilbert and someone in life of Elizabeth Gilbert. So in this book we have 6 chapters. So let's start with the first chapter. In the first chapter, Gilbert introduced the two major concepts of the books: creative living and fear. Creative living, according to Gilbert, is the pursuing of the hidden treasure that have been hidden in the universe to be found. This hidden treasure or jewels can be manifest as anything from writing a novel to discovering a passion for figure skating. The point is made in that creative living is not dependent on the size of shape of the pursuit, but on the process, its life. That is why she writes the hunt of uncover those jewels that creative living, and thus acknowledging the journey as more important than the end product. Gilbert 2015. However, the result is by no means unimportant, she states. The often surprising result of the hunt, that's what I call big magic. Living creatively, however, does not occur without fear. Although the chapter is entitled Courage, it means focus on what happened is in absence. Gilbert acknowledged fear as a constant companion to the creator and stresses the importance of overcoming it to be a creator. To control fear, one must have courage. From the very beginning, Gilbert is referencing briefly and its necessity in the journey to create. Fear is an emotion that arises when something threatening appears. However, the threat, especially its realm of creativity, is miscalculated, showing the importance of having courage to withstand those fears. In the second chapter, Gilbert elaborates on her idea of where ideas come from and how they function. She believes ideas are living entities that move from individual to individual until they find someone suitable to create by. The story regarding Gilbert Paget and the novel about the Amazon exemplifies the process of getting and losing the idea. In this story, Gilbert explained how she had an idea that left after 2 years of neglect. This idea when then transferred to Paget through a kiss and become a novel written by Paget. Concerning the exchange, Gilbert writes, "In fact, we think the idea might have been officially transmitted on the day we knew it. We think it was exchanged in the kiss, and that, my friend, is big magic." Gilbert 2015. Unfortunately, such extraordinary occurrence, Gilbert explaining, tend to incentivize resentment on the part of the person who lost the idea. However, if the idea chooses when to appear and when to disappear, they select who to work with based on the degree to which someone is willing to collaborate with them. There is the actual inherent ownership of an idea until it exists, as someone creative product. At the point, the idea belongs to whoever created. In this chapter, Gilbert merely introduced this idea, enticing the reader to rethink his or her notion of what it means to be a creator. In doing so, she is lessening the fear that is typing associated with being an artist and make a life of creating seem far more enjoyable than what is commonly understood. In the third chapter, Gilbert focused on people's tendency to hold outside opinion higher than their own. This is in effect make them dependent on external factors, overriding their personal goals and desires. To be creative, many people think that they need permission. They place the burden of their creativity on someone or something else, and they use it as an excuse to not create it. They blame the climate, the culture, the material, along with myriad of other things. Gilbert points out this sentiment and challenges the reader to take up the responsibility of being a creator. Next, Gilbert challenged her reader to redefine their priority. Many people tend to create in the hopes of impacting others. However, this places the motivation to create outside of the creator and makes the creator relying on others to initiate any project. Instead, Gilbert said that artists should make art for themselves. Regarding Big Magic, Gilbert 2015 writes, "I did not write this book for you. I wrote it for me. I wrote this book for my own pleasure because I truly enjoy thinking about the subject of creativity." Gilbert also takes the time to address the issues of education and its role in living a creative life. She points out her lack of formal education in writing and that it did not stop her from pursuing her desire to be a writer. She experienced difficulties resulting from a lack of training, but she relied on herself to resolve those issues. Still, Gilbert acknowledged that the task to create is daunting considering all of the outside opinions that are bound to surface in response to someone's creating. She pointed out meaningless external labor mean nothing in the long run. She goes even further to say that art is meaningless in the long run. In the fourth chapter, Gilbert reads about what it means to remain dedicated to a creative life. She began by illustrating how she made the choice to dedicate her life to being an author, and then continues showing the reader how she managed to keep her promise despite trial and numerous rejection. She writes, "No matter how wonderful and exciting and glamorous it may initially seem, come with its own grain of shit sandwich, its own loosey sideways. Eating a shit sandwich is a colorful way of telling the reader to persist. It is not an enjoyable experience, but they are essential to the process and can be sprinkled with the learning opportunities. The seed sandwich is inevitable, and one must choose wisely when deciding what they are willing to put up with. No creative field is easy. and one must be willing to endure hardship. One obstacle to overcome in the process of being ready for an idea is perfectionism. This is an entirely internal dilemma, as it is another version of fear. Perfectionism stops the creative process and in many cases stops it from ever starting. Success, however, is tricky and should be taken lightly. What is good one day may not be good the next. She makes the point through her story about the story of Old Talk, a story that was accepted for publication 2 years after it was rejected by the same editor for the same journal. If this process is too much, Gilbert offers a way out. She says to quit. In quitting, one way find something else he or she is interested in or fall back in love with the original interest. In the fifth chapter, Gilbert revealed to the reader the most important aspect of living a sane creative life. She said that her one saving grace was placing her trust in love. She explained one day saying that she trusts the universe. If she show up and works hard, then the universe will reward her with ideas and inspiration. Ideas are not malevolent, but entities that want to collaborate. Gilbert writes, creativity wants a relationship with you. That must be for a reason, right? Do you honestly believe that creativity went through all the trouble of breaking into your consciousness only because it wanted to kill you? This quote referred to the beginning of the chapter where she revealed the contempt many young artists think their craft has toward them. Gilbert challenges this notion and showed that creativity wished to be expressed an impossible feat if its creator dead. Gilbert also indicated that the torture experienced by many creators occur because of their lack of understanding that art is both meaningful and meaningless. Therefore, they are continuously questioning their value and the value of their artwork, judging themselves based on its success or lack thereof. Overall, the world, no matter the outcome, is the product of the person who created. This makes it scared in this own right and meaningful to the person who bore it. In the final chapter, Gilbert illustrates the malleability of art. As human and culture evolve, so does their creative expression. Tradition and ritual are expected to remain consistent and unchanging, and that is the idea the Westerner in the Bali story had regarding the Balinese dance. They did not want to upset the nature by which the native people of Bali lived. However, the Balinese was not nearly as strict and were far more open to alteration to their holy ritual over time. In doing so, they gave meaning to the once meaningless, illustrating the paradox Gilbert mentioned in chapter chapter 3 and showing that what is considered great art at one point does not mean it will remain so. So that's it. The summary about big magic. Thank you. Assalamualaikum warahmatullahi wabarakatuh.